Good morning and welcome to the Wright County Board meeting, August 15th, 2017. We'll begin this morning with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Talk to Luke about
Thank you again. And
inspections.
the minutes from August 8th, 2017. Is there a motion to approve? Is
I'll make a motion to approve minutes.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delighten, second by Commissioner Hewsome. No additions, corrections. Lee didn't have anything. Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The agenda for today.
I'll make a motion to...
One second. I think Lee did have something he wanted to add on.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to petition on the Budget Committee the whole schedule to add as an item for consideration. I just have one revision to that schedule that I'd like to make if possible.
Be under E, items
Yes,
for
E
consideration.
would be fine. Then with that addition, I'll make a motion to approve today's agenda.
Second it.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Delighten. And Lee, that will be item E then, you said?
That was the plan, item for consideration E.
Okay, perfect. Make sure I write it down. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Agenda is approved. The consent agenda for today, does anyone want anything removed for further consideration, or else I'll entertain a motion for its approval?
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delighten, second by Commissioner Hewsome to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda is approved. The timed agenda this morning, we have start off with our County Coordinator Lee Kelly. You have some important news for us and on a big hire here at Wright County.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair. I'm very happy to announce our new HR Director started as of yesterday. I'd like to officially introduce Mr. Sean Johnson to the board and staff as well. Sean comes to us most recently from Department of Veterans Affairs, but has also worked in municipal government for over 15 plus years. So today is day number 2, so happy to have him on board.
Yeah.
Morning, Chair, members of the Commission. Glad to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to work for Wright County. I reside in Elk River, so the commute just got a lot shorter for me, so I'm very grateful for that. But also, too, very grateful for the opportunity, and I'd like to thank Mr. Kelly and Wright County for this opportunity, and looking forward to working with you for many, many years.
Yeah.
And likewise here, and we hope that you'll be able to be a big asset to our county. We're looking forward to having you. So.
We are. Yeah. Welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, he has to be an asset to the county.
Yeah.
There you go. And you got 1 year to prove it, too.
Welcome. Thank you, Lee.
Yeah.
903, our Wright County Auditor Treasurer, Mr. Robert Hevola.
Good morning, Board.
Morning.
The first item on the agenda is to approve the plat Brueggemann Addition, Corinna Township. That plat is in the back with the proper pen. In your packet, you should have the support for it. So, Board, I'm asking you to approve this plat for signature.
I'll make a motion to approve the plat for the Brueggemann Addition.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delighten, second by Commissioner Vetch. Further discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is approved. Okay, next up,
Board, the next thing is to approve the July revenue expenditure guidelines. You should have received the budget report. It was yesterday that we got a little bit of our file to OpenGov got fixed. So I was able to finally go back in there. So I'm going to show you just real quick. You have your paper budget report.
Here you go. Just had you a minute ago, Bob.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it was there a minute ago.
You don't have the right touch today, do you, Lee?
Power button, Bob.
Oh. I did the power button. That's how I got there. It's not the globe. There you go. So at 58% of the year, we're out 58% of our budgeted revenues. So compared to last year, we're lagging a little bit behind. Part of it was due to the grants that we get. So then when I drilled in on the grants, you can see that by July of this year, we had received the bulk of our state aid regular construction. So visually I can see how we're doing on that. So, and then on expenses, at 58% of the year compared to last year, we're right on trend. There's really nothing to draw your attention to on the expense side of the equation. Any questions on these? I know this is, my goal is to present this to you versus the monthly budget report.
Okay, and Bob, does it, I mean, you can see by the graph that we're same as last year kind of thing.
Yep.
But you don't have the actual 58% or whatever.
In your guide, or in your budget books,
Okay, yeah, got it.
I'll tack that on top for that for you guys.
That's okay. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Bob?
Yeah.
Noticed in page 9 in the book that the state audit is over budget.
Yes.
Just want to remind the public that the state is doing it and charging a lot more than the private audit firm did. And so it's, even though it's in the whole budget scheme, it's not large, it's still an overage that is frustrating.
It is.
Right. Thank you, Commissioners. We do pay our bills, so we did pay the state auditor the bills. Just a reminder that for 17, the fiscal year 17, so the audit done in 18, we have opted to go back to Clifton Larson Allen, so.
It'll be a good move.
Well, yeah, assuming that we continue winning
Or lawsuits.
against the state auditor and the lawsuit she filed against us in Becker County.
And we are hopeful that the peer review that the state auditor does not force a re-audit that they're doing in Roseville County. Roseville County is forced to redo the audit at full expense, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we have a lot of confidence in our selected auditor having lots of experience. Their auditor was a state auditor, so I'm curious as to what went wrong there, but.
Oh, really?
We're here at Wright County and.
Yep.
Sounds political.
Maybe she should run for governor.
Oh, gosh, I thought that was in today's paper that she is planning on running for governor.
How can she do that and have all these lawsuits going on at the same time? Yeah.
Well,
Board, if I could have you approve the July revenue expenditure guideline.
I'll make a motion to approve the July revenue expenditure budget report.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delighten, second by Commissioner Vitch. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Board, the next item is kind of like a success story. There's a repair on JD 15 that the landowner has worked with Soil and Water. Andrew is here to walk us through this, but a significant amount of this repair is funded by grants, so we're trying to do the repairs the right way. So, Andrew, do you want to walk them through? Sure. This is what they have in their packet, so.
This figure here.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning, Andrew.
Filling in for Luke here last minute, so I'll do my best to kind of keep it short and sweet, I suppose, but
What happened there?
I didn't touch anything.
He's turning everything off.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Don't shut that light out, apparently.
Kind of tough to see, but essentially this is a part of a grant project that we've been working on, specifically on JD 15. Started with just kind of identifying some of the erosion issues, and that turned into a grant for actual implementation. trying to fix erosion within the ditch itself, as well as upstream, so to try and address the cause as well.
Andrew, can you start off by just showing us where ditch 15 is on the map?
Yeah, this is pretty rough.
All right, you're talking about Stockholm Township?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so we're in Stockholm Township, JD 15. It's
No, but I meant on the map.
here.
It's just kind of trace it out.
so
Yep.
kind of the ditch you can kind of see here faintly running along the edge of the
Yep.
map here, and it kind of bends up this way, and it comes over.
Across, and then down and out. Yep.
I forget the highway, what road is that it crosses, but basically the headwaters of this ditch system. So
And then it'll eventually end up going right through the city of Cokato
Yeah.
and into Cokato Lake.
Yeah, north of
Yep.
Right. So we found a landowner who was willing to work with us. We found a number of issues on his property, some pretty nasty blowouts. We presented on this before. You might have seen some of the pictures at our annual meeting, but essentially for this specifically, what we're looking for is to fix a couple of the holes, the blowouts that exist in the side of the ditch. So that exists within the ditch system's easement. So that's kind of very specifically what we're looking for today. So there are two areas that need to be fixed that exist within the ditch's easement. And I believe they're kind of up in this area here. I think those are the two we're talking about. Two projects, and really, I'm not an engineer, but essentially we're just kind of fixing the hole with some reinforced erosion control mats. But then we're also doing work upstream. A lot of this is pretty busy up here with some numbers and stuff, but essentially what's going on here is we're slowing the water down before it gets to the ditch. So we're controlling that water, taking care of some of the velocity, and hopefully the blowout won't happen again. So the plans are for two projects. I believe they're about $6,000 a piece. The grant funding from the state, as well as some federal funding that we're able to match, will take care of about 90% of that expense. There's always a matching component that we're looking for from a landowner, in this case the Drainage Authority. So of these two projects very specifically up here that are within the ditch's easement, so roughly $12,000, I believe. 10% of that would be assessed to the benefited landowners of the system. So pretty minimal.
Yeah.
And the work that's being assessed is totally within the ditch right away.
Exactly, and the rest of the stuff that's happening outside of that right of way of the ditch, that's all just being done between our grant funding and the landowner. So, but it will benefit the system. Definitely, so.
And Andrew, I know I was talking with Mike Young, our ditch inspector, and I think he's had conversations with you, because now these two on the north, they're both coming in on tile, right? But there was a spot where it wasn't a tile going into the ditch. It was actually the surface water flowing right in.
Yeah, kind of this green line. There was like basically a stream that was flowing down into the ditch, and it was kind of unstable, so it was eroding. And the other spots, I don't think that they were necessarily tiles that caused that blowout, but it could have started as a muskrat, but there was definitely overland flow getting to that point and eroding it.
But now these two on the north up there that we just showed, the green one and the blue, those are both tile lines coming in?
I believe the blue is definitely a tile line coming from some of these basins up in the field, so that water will be taken as opposed to going over the surface and scouring and eroding. It'll be controlled through a pipe and then put into the ditch.
But the one where it says 18 plus 70, well, you can't read it on there, that is a grass waterway then?
It's a grass waterway. Yep.
Okay. And I know the engineers kind of felt that it has to go directly into the ditch. I know Mike was hoping that you could be able to do a side inlet and have some more retention there, but it was not possible. Is that it?
Yeah, part of some of the ideas we were thinking, we always want to find a way to kind of store that water temporarily and kind of slow it down before it gets into the ditch. And so we were initially looking at ways to maybe even build like a berm all the way along the side of the ditch so that the water kind of hits it, and then we can maybe tile it or control it as it gets into the ditch. but it's very flat in this area. The soils are organic, so you can't really build a structure or a berm on top of that. So just really for engineering reasons, we were limited with some of the stuff that we could do for this particular area. So that's why it's more of just patching the hole and controlling stuff further up the hill, as opposed to like creating kind of a storage pond. But it's just more of an engineering issue that we couldn't overcome for this site.
I just say, I mean, even though we're, be acting as the drainage authority here, I think it's still important that we look for areas that we can retain water back for flood control and then also for water quality. I mean, those are considerations that I know this board cares deeply about, and, hopefully they've done everything that they can to address those.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had a meeting yesterday with Mr. Young and Mr. Kreiser to kind of talk about some of the engineering issues that we ran into here, why we couldn't get more storage, but it's definitely looked at for every site that we come across. We're always looking for, to maximize it, but just the site conditions limit that sometimes, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Delaney.
There's a funny-looking guy up at the podium.
Oh,
Thank you.
Attorney.
Here to brighten my day, Commissioner Delighted. I just want to let the board know, at this point in time, we're only looking at 2 sites up here. The estimate from the engineer was $6,000. I think the bids are coming in lower with a 90% match from grant funding. So right now, this repair is very minimal on this ditch system. There are a few other blowouts along this area, and I think Soil and Water, along with our ditch inspector, are going to look at that and then maybe add those on as part of it when the contractor's out there. But we talked about that yesterday and didn't want to rush it. I mean, they're not doing the work tomorrow, so I think we have time to hit pause and
I was going to make the
sure we do
comment
right.
too, because I mean, I can sit up here and be critical, but then on the other hand, almost anything that we do is going to be better than what it was, from last year, so.
There are other blowouts. Those other blowouts weren't able to be addressed as part of this grant funding opportunity. So, but I think as part of the Drainage Authority, we can add those on.
Refresh my memory, does ditch 15, has it been redetermined yet, or we put in the order to have it redetermined?
Janice indicated it should be up for a public hearing and finalization maybe November, December.
So they're working on it now?
We're working on it,
We're getting the
so
preliminary report from the viewers, so.
I would anticipate holding these costs off for assessment until after that's done.
Got it. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve repairs for joint ditch 15.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Board, thank you. Selfishly, it'll be nice when we get that ditch coordinator here to create that.
Thank you, Andrew.
The connection with Soil and Water and grant funding, connection with Mike Young and the people on the ditch systems themselves.
Give it a real hard one.
We're not done with you yet.
You can't leave.
For the last item I have on the agenda is to approve the 2017 budget amendment. This is one that we normally do in May or June. This is due to the negotiated settlements that we have with the unions. You'll remember that we keep a lot of money in 01-100, 60-100. So this adjustment allocates that out to the appropriate affected departments. There's a few others that we had taken care of. We moved vitals from the License Bureau up to the Recorder's Office, so we moved some expenses and revenues. So before you is the 2017 budget amendment or adjustment to reflect those. So I need you to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget adjustments.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delight, second by Commissioner Vetch. Further discussion? Mike, you have anything? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Bob.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have 9:14. Our highway engineer, Mr. Virgil Hawkins. Morning, Virgil.
Morning, Chairman Burrell and Board of Commissioners. Today I have 3 items before you. The first one is really just to distribute our annual report, and you should have a copy of the 2016 annual report for Road and Bridge. And basically today just hand that out to you, and this will come back in 2 weeks to have any comments on it. This just gives you time to look at it for a couple weeks. It's
another
not
nice.
on the New York Times bestseller list, but it's got everything you need to know about the Highway Department in 2016.
Yeah,
Engineers live for this stuff.
yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate getting this every year.
So that's item 1. Item 2 is to approve Transportation Committee minutes of the whole from July 19th. And you should have a copy of the minutes, and if you see any comments, if you have any comments on those, I'll just briefly go through the items. The first item we talked about was the Highway 17 slope distress in Delano, right along the river. And there was some discussion, and the recommendation was a consensus to have us move forward with a hydraulic study to help determine what needs to be done to get better dollar figures so we can budget for it in 2018. And the next item was about a jurisdictional change on County Road 131 in Fenning. We had received some communication from the township, and the recommendation was that we would move forward with taking over Fenning Avenue and designate it as County Road 118. The road is it's on our list of local option sales tax projects to be rebuilt in 3 to 5 years. And in the future, we'll come forward with an agreement to present to the board as far as maintenance of that roadway. The next item was an update on our county road safety plan, and we had a workshop on August 1st, and that was just an informational item. The next item is an update on our ADA transition plan, which is we're required to put together to address our right-of-ways and roadways as far as ADA compliance.
Now again, just to clarify this, because this is kind of government with its infinite wisdom, where out in the country, where we have no walkways or anything, at the intersections, just still requiring us to do some sort of
To do an inventory, right, correct. And this ADA law has been a law since 1990. It's just now that they're going to enforce things on it,
I
so
know,
all
just
agencies are
some of it
required to do it.
defines logic, but that's just my opinion.
Mr. Chair, a side note, when I asked how many there were, Virgil said there's hundreds of them. So
Yeah.
it gets to be a little
Yeah,
kind of an
we're
onerous
actually,
task.
and as part of this adopting an ADA transition plan, we need to have a public meeting, which we're scheduling for September 14th in the evening. So we have a draft plan put together that we'll be uploading on our website soon for the public to view. And it does have an appendix in it with sheets and sheets of intersections that we surveyed. And
Oh,
I mean, it's important to make sure that the ADA,
Right.
but when it's out in the country and the roads don't even have
trails.
trails
Right.
or even a little side
There's not even shoulders on it.
shoulders, yeah.
Yeah, there's not shoulders on a lot of
There's
them.
not even shoulders. It doesn't make sense.
people aren't going to be,
Well, some of them haven't seen somebody walk, maybe 2 people a year in some of those spots, probably.
Yeah, that's just,
but
And then the final item we talked about at the meeting was our outlying maintenance shops. And there was much discussion about future plans, and the Transportation Committee recommended holding off on all improvements at the outlying shops until upcoming staff changes with retirements can take place, and we could look at the best needs moving forward for the department. We're going to look at some land costs in Annandale and report back later this fall. And then we're also going to get some numbers for the current French Lake shop on the cost it would take to upgrade that, septic costs, maintenance cost over 10 years. And it was decided to currently keep the $1 million in our CIP budget for now to deal with our outlying shops. And we'll be getting information back to Sue Virgin as far as the 2018 CIP, so that can be updated with some of the information.
And then, Virgil, one other thing, and I don't need to change the minutes or anything, but when you're doing the look at the facility, especially at French Lake, one of the comments was that there was not a lot of acres, there's only 2 acres there.
Correct.
Would it be possible to look in to see if there is land available for purchase?
We'll sure look at that.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
And that was there's attachments here, but that's the gist of the meeting, if there's any comments.
Mr. Chair, is that just to approve the minutes? Okay. Mr. Chair,
And the recommendations?
Mr. Chair, I will move the minutes and the recommendation.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Hewsome, second by Commissioner Delyden. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion and the recommendations are approved.
Okay, thank you. The last item today is to approve an amendment to our professional service agreement with SRF Consulting. They're facilitator for our Trunk Highway 55 coalition. And there was an amendment a few board meetings back from MnDOT to extend the coalition grant money. And so this is a kind of a follow-up to keep SRF on board also to facilitate the meetings.
I'll make a motion to approve the amendment for professional service agreement with the SRF Consulting Group for Trunk Highway 55 Corridor Coalition.
That's a long motion. Motion by Commissioner Delyden.
Can you repeat that back to me?
You did great. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Vetch. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay, Virgil, thank you very much, good job.
Thank you.
All right, next up, Parks and Recreation Director, Mr. Mark Mattice. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Got a couple items of business for you today. The first is to request authorization for myself to enter into a contract with SEH Design Build for the construction phase of the beach house at Bertram Chain of Lakes. Included in the phase, this is included in the Phase 1 development grant in budget. Is the beach house, which includes restrooms, the changing areas, the vending areas, and storage facilities. The budget for construction and design of this facility includes legacy grant funds as well as a cost share from the YMCA. The county share was about 174,000, or no, yeah, 174,000. We have 130, almost 136,000 of Park and Trails legacy grants. And then the YMCA pays 36% of the building costs up to a maximum of 200 grand. So the way I look at it, we had $510,000 to build this facility, the way I look at things. We have a contract in front of you today that proposes a guaranteed maximum price with a little bit of a range there. There's some deducts that we can discuss and recommendations on that to bring that guaranteed maximum price down to about $554,500. Unless we have change orders during the contract that weren't part of it, and we're hoping we don't have that. Hoping we're, having a contractor involved with the architect and the owners working real hard together. We're hoping to be sitting pretty good.
Well, that'll define whether or not this ever happens again in the county.
Exactly. It was,
I mean, that was one of the reasons why we did this route, was to prevent those change orders.
The high-cost change orders. So we're hoping. And if it doesn't work, then we'll never do this again. Or we will do it again. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But through the design-build process, our subcommittee has already reduced the cost and scope of the work by $48,000. And the items in front of you today on that would include, it's on a sheet that has a little graph. We think our structural engineer is over-designed by putting 4-foot interior footing walls in, where we can do rebar and just expand that down, that area. That'll save us $14,000. Structural integrity should be fine. Architect says, yeah, that's a $14,000 omit that he would recommend. Removing burnished block could save you $22,500, plus increase the construction time, so it's not such a lead time. I guess we spec'd when we wrote the RFP a certain type of hardware for the doors, and the hardware guy that got the bid said, well, if you use the hardware that I get, which is high quality hardware, does the same thing, you can save $3,800. I'm thinking, well, that makes sense. Rather than going with Schlage, you're going with their vendor that they get, so they get better prices. Substitute polystyrene core doors in lieu of polyurethane core doors for $750. I don't think, from what I hear, that's not a big deal. I think that's another one of those supply things. We want to go with manual flush valves over the push button ones. That's $1,100 savings. These are things that came in after we did all our sub bids. And provide a poly vapor barrier in lieu of a fluid applied poly vapor barrier on the exterior. That's $4,700. So that brings your guaranteed maximum price down to $544 if you accept what I just mentioned, which I think would be a good thing. Overall this year, we've done $1.3 million in development and improvements in the park system. We're looking at coming in under budget at the Otsego restroom project by about $7,000. Playgrounds between BB and Schroeder, we're looking at coming in under $10,000. And our direct hardwood seating at Bertram, we're going to come in about $4,000 less. So what this impact to the budget would be $23,485 on that guaranteed maximum price. There are still a couple things that might be able to knock that number down. We're working with a couple different contractors to see if we can secure better pricing on a couple items. That would be the masonry and the framer. We think those prices came in a little high, so we've been working with those, but we don't have all those numbers secure and back. But any cost savings we come up with after that price will be deducted off of that maximum guaranteed price. And we would keep you apprised of that through email or something, rather than coming here saying, hey, we just saved $100.
And Mark, is this the first time that your department has done the design build?
It's the first time the county's done a design
First time
build.
even the county has. And what is the firm that you're working with? I mean, obviously you're in close consultation with them. You're letting them know that this is kind of precedent setting, and if we're ever going to look into doing this again kind of thing.
Right.
And they're well aware of that?
Yes.
Okay.
And we have more buildings that are going to be done out at Bertram in the future, so.
Well, throughout the county, you're
Yeah.
looking at
Well,
sport
I guess
services, admin buildings,
We'll find out. I
highway
guess.
shops, all sorts of things if it works.
Yeah.
I
Regarding,
mean, there has been, Mr. Chair, times where the contractor that's part of this project looks at the architect and says, that's stupid. I mean, that's his quote, that's stupid. Why are you doing that? That's not very cost effective. Let's look at this. That's where some of those deducts come.
Well, I know I was involved a little bit. I think I filled in for Mark one day, or Derek, I can't remember which it was.
it was me.
It was for Mark. But with just the roof design, you know, that was one where do we really need this multi-layered roof and stuff? And they went to a much simpler roof, and it lowered the cost quite a bit too. So things like that, you know, early on, they're good catches, you know. So.
And there's been some additions to the original floor plan. When I wrote the grant, I planned a 1,900 square foot building. This is 200 square feet larger than when I wrote the grant. That's a $45,000 increase in the budget right there, if you're looking at $225 a square foot for commercial site buildings.
Okay.
So Mark, we're looking at basically that guaranteed will go down from 610 to roughly 555.
Yep.
Yep. And then depending on how all these other last things that we're kind of working on, there's a chance we can get it close to that 510, maybe on an outside chance if things work out right as we finish out the rest of the contracting deals.
Yep, 510, 525, hopefully.
Yep, and that gets us
But
pretty much close to where we want to be on budget, so.
This gives us the go-ahead to start getting the concrete contractor under, and the plumber, and the mechanical, and those contracts that have come in, we can get them under contract so we can start the project here as soon as possible.
Well, not only that, but some of these things, it looks like there's an 8-week lead time
Yeah.
on some of the concrete, so you definitely want to get that
I
ordered.
can order that concrete without a contract.
Have you decided, are you going to go with a colored block, or are you looking at the painting? Because I still have a concern about
I'm
the
hesitant
painting.
on the painting, but I went up to JME Block up in Monticello and asked them about lead times and stuff, and their lead time's a little shorter than 8 weeks, and I think we're gonna, if they end up getting a bid, they could go with JME and might be a few cents a block cheaper, which is nice. So I've been very involved in that process too.
Good. So you are looking at the colored block? then?
But what JME told me is that has to be sealed every 4 to 5 years.
Oh.
Where he says if it's done right without without moisture getting in the backside of your block, if it's all sealed up nice with the styrofoam and the spray and stuff, he said that epoxy paint should last 10.
Okay.
That's something to think about.
So, I mean, I'm nervous about epoxy paint because like at some of our other buildings where we're just blocked and there's no insulation, no vapor barrier, it peels off so quick and you're in there sandblasting and repainting. Or he's saying if you build it right, your paint's going to be better. You won't have to seal the block every 4 or 5 years. So, something to consider.
Now, was it going to be both no, it was going to be on the outside or the inside?
What's that?
The paint, inside, right?
Inside. Yeah. The outside is actually, there's first strips, insulation, a poly barrier, and LP smart siding. So
that's right.
You don't have that moisture absorption. So starting to JME, them guys up there, and they're block people, they know what they're doing. I hope. I don't know. They're Monticello. I know it's not Howard Lake or something.
Well, it's interesting to find out, though, now that color block has to be sealed every 4 years. So
Yeah.
there goes what we were hoping to save with the maintenance. So
Yeah, even burnished block, he told me, has to be sealed every 4 to 5 years.
Oh, really? Well, then maybe painting would be the best way to go.
Oh.
Especially if it's done right.
It was done right.
Okay, anyway, do we have a motion to authorize the director for enter into the contract with?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second that. And I wanted to let the board know that Mark Mattice has worked very, very hard at getting this project to come in on budget and as close as he can, considering a very, very challenging labor market right now, which is really driving contracting prices through the roof.
They are.
And I want to thank Mark for his dedication to this. I'm just curious, Mark, do you liken these design build style so far, gone where we're at?
I think the communication lines are much better than the different style. I'm going to save my opinion until the project's complete to really let you know what I feel. The interesting part is, so electrical's design build, so you get different submittals coming in, and when you do an architect project, they design your building to design all your specs, and you get a 120-page spec book that you have to page through that makes little to no sense.
Yeah.
Here it's boom, 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 and you get to see them all separate, and then you get to see them get put together, which is nice. So, I mean, you get to pick right down to the flush valves and talk about, we talk about what flush valves we want to have, what sink handles we want to have. I mean, it's really detailed.
Oh, wow.
What did you say, scented candles?
Scented candles?
Mark has definitely sent this back to the to SEH saying that, you know, we got to get more bids. We got to get more bids on a lot of occasions on different parts of this project, because he felt that we could get a better bid if we keep looking, and that's what's kind of been able to get this project to keep going forward. So thank you.
Oh, thank
Okay.
you.
All right, thank you. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next up, you have some,
Thank you. I hope at the end of the project I can come back and say that we're under that guaranteed maximum price.
Well,
Item number 2 is we received notice, oh, by the way, the contract was reviewed by our attorney's office. That was always a
Okay.
Bow tie guy or the other guy?
the real attorney. Not the one that plays it. On August 8th, received a notice from the Minnesota Department of Transportation asking if the county would like to move up our GSA 12 trail paving project that we received a grant for from 2020 to 2018. They had a project that got pushed out for 2018, and they're looking at moving our project up. The impact to the county would be that in our capital improvement plan for the year 2020, we have our local match. We'd have to move our local match from 2020 to 2018. That way we could start getting that project spec'd and bid docs ready, if you're interested, and we could have that project done in 2018, which is 2 years ahead.
Mr. Chair.
But it is a budget situation.
Mr. Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mark, Kelvin Howison from MnDOT was fortunate, for letting us in on this, because, usually you've got a list of people who you talk to, and he's been real, let's say, a friend of Wright County as far as MnDOT goes, is allowing us this opportunity, because not everybody gets these. And I believe that the citizens that use that trail all the time will be much appreciative to have that moved up 2 years.
Well, and then the maintenance, we've done so much because of that, because of not having the pavement.
And we were fortunate to get the grant, and somebody was a doubting Mattice on that I would be able to secure that. We got it, which is fortunate, and I'm tickled that we can move this up and get this done so people can actually use that trail.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
We still have people on the road because of the trail's not paved.
Yeah, but there's still quite a few people that do use that trail out. I know when I went up to the county fair, I couldn't believe how many people were on the road, and then on my way back too.
Yeah, so it's.
And I think it'll only be more once it's paved.
For sure.
Okay, is there a motion for that, to approve that?
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
By Commissioner Hewsom, second by Commissioner Lyden. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too.
Items for consideration, committee minutes. Committee of the Whole for August 8th, 2017. Lee, would you be able to take that for me?
Yes, sir. The Committee of the Whole met on August 8th. Commissioners Delyden, Hewsom, Potter, and Vetch were there, along with myself. And Cooper, Hevela, Kreiser, Meyer, Powman, Schmidt, Strobel, Tagaro, Vaith, and Virgin were also in attendance. The first topic was the AP Automation Kaizen event, and Auditor Treasurer Hevela presented a hard copy of the PowerPoint presentation about the Accounts Payable Automation Kaizen event, May 2017, which is attached for reference. I'll kind of try and summarize a little bit here, as it did follow the outline of the PowerPoint pretty closely. So the purpose was to look at the accounts payable system, and discussion started on this about 5 years ago. And this Kaizen event helped to determine how each department goes through the AP process and what could be done more efficiently. We were fortunate to have a Sherburne County representative on hand to assist with the event. So Hevela provided an overview of the background as notated on the slide. A lot of duplicate entry done by departments currently, and the goal is to eliminate redundancy and create consistency with coding. On the measurable objective slide, the goal was to establish standard procedures and reduce the time it takes to issue a payment from the time the invoice is received. So Hevela said the Kaizen team interviewed staff from all the departments, determined the steps taken to process payments. Lindsay Meyer, Assistant Finance Director, explained the maps were created detailing how product or service is ordered, invoices received, and payment routed for proper approval. The goal was to capture 80% of the department's spending as part of this process. There was some look at areas of waste that were identified. Currently, many departments keep copies of their claims or recreate the forms that the auditor treasurer staff currently keeps and re-enters into their system. A number of departments created their own spreadsheets to track encumbrances to ensure they do not go over budget. Some of the strengths that were found of the auditor treasurer's office were to decrease in errors due to staff reviewing the documents. The process reduces the chance of fraud by implementing separation of duties. The Kaizen event made it clear that county staff would like a positive change in the process. Relative to opportunities for improvement, outlined on the next slide, showed the duplication of activities as mentioned. such as retention of hard copies of claims at the department level, lack of training on the current on-base software, and transportation between county buildings to deliver the claims. Hevela would like to see packing slips included with claims to document receipt of purchased items. The parking lot slide addresses features that are not currently in the AP system. Be nice to have, such as a purchase order system. PO system utilized now for larger purchase is not linked to any data on encumbrances. This would help departments keep track of purchases that have already been ordered. I'll jump ahead to the immediate action slide. Hevela would like to bring forward a request to move all employee reimbursements to direct deposit payment at the end of the month. Added Sherburne County stated that their county board approves the claims listing after they have already been paid. Hevela said the county board could do the same. They would need to delegate him to pay the bills and then present the claims listing at the next board meeting. Hevela said this would expedite the process significantly, so checks could be issued daily instead of weekly.
And then one thing, oh, there, never mind, it's in the next paragraph.
Next statement. Statutorily, the county is required to pay its bills every 30 days. So I did ask whether the county is taking advantage of every available discount for paying early, such as in 10 days. Meyer said it isn't possible right now to get a check issued in less than 10 days, and we haven't really seen that option on invoices presented to the county. So we do get some discounts by ordering from Home Depot and by using our procurement cards. Trying to
Office Depot.
Office Depot, sorry.
Not many Home Depots.
Nope. We're trying to maximize all possible discounts available to the county through those sources. So a project request was submitted to the Information Technology Department to allow departments to access OpenGov on a daily versus a monthly basis. So kind of moving towards future steps in a perfect world, Hevela would like departments to upload their own information, and his office would set up the account numbers, warnings, or notifications, and improve internal controls, handle multiple integrations, and other functions. Hevela would like to be able to see the whole process from who created the PO to who approved it, and all attached electronic documents in one location. Commissioners would like to be able to see the claims, filter, sort, and submit questions or comments as listed on the Commissioners and Others Perfect World slide. So maybe I'll kind of bump ahead a little bit. Ultimately, the goal is to improve the entire AP process. There are enterprise systems on the market that could accomplish these goals. However, enterprise systems aren't cheap. However, there is a time, value, money equation that must be calculated, including the cost of the current process and its redundancies. Cooper noted that some departments have eliminated efficiencies or inefficiencies simply by discussing the process during the Kaizen event. Vetch asked whether it would take a lot of modification to implement an enterprise software program. Cooper said it would not take a lot of modification, but it would take time to define exactly what the needs were. So at that time, we had recently had a demo of the Tyler Munis system, and that was explored as a possible enterprise system, which was attended by staff and the IT department. Adam Chigaro, IT director, said the Tyler system is impressive and encompasses many areas. He'd like to refer the ERP topic to the next technology committee and discuss with the leadership team to discuss the impact it could have on county organization. There are other counties in Minnesota that are currently using this system or a system similar to this, such as Crow Wing, Blue Earth. Anoka County currently uses the Tyler tax product. However, there are other AP vendors out there as well. The question would be if the board would prefer to add individual modules or incorporate into a more comprehensive enterprise system. Hevela said Tyler quoted about $500,000 for an enterprise system. However, Tyler's trying to build their business within Minnesota. An initial offering to us was made at half price, which would put it at $500,000 to $600,000 for implementation. which an annual fee would then be approximately $100,000 annually. So 2 requests that HEVLA had from this meeting to recommend authorization to convert all employee reimbursements to direct deposit and designate authority to pay the payables, and then report all the bills, excuse me, at the next county board meeting. And we were going to do some further research on any vendors to offer a discount paid within 10 days. So the recommendations were to refer the ERP discussion to the next technology committee, designate authority to the auditor treasurer to pay bills as submitted and report those payments to the county board at the next county board meeting, and authorize the auditor treasurer to convert all employee reimbursements to direct deposit. Second topic was the discussion of elections equipment. We had kind of an overview of the existing election equipment and the need to purchase new machines. Currently, the costs are borne by the township, cities, and the county. Grant funding to replace the election equipment has been cut dramatically. We looked at several different options and how to pay for this equipment, utilizing whatever grant dollars can be obtained, and we could ask the municipalities to maintain the machines, or municipalities could pay for their own equipment. Current budget is $650,000 to buy the elections equipment. The minimum grant that would be coming to us for this purpose would be $73,100. So discussed a couple options. One would be to take the grant funds available and buy half the equipment needed and buy the rest in the future. There's a possibility the county could be awarded more than $73,100, depending on the number of requests that come into the state. And the key is that, maybe I'll jump ahead. There's also discussion on the ease of training election judges with new equipment, whether smaller townships need machines, tasks the auditor treasurer staff have to perform when votes are turned in, and the potential grant funds that could be received. Historically, precincts and townships have purchased their own election equipment. It would be a change in the way, a fundamental change in the way we've done business to have the county buy the equipment, but asked whether the county wanted to go with that philosophy change. Utilizing the same equipment countywide would enable standardized training for election judges. A maintenance agreement with the cities and townships would be advisable. HEVLA said further discussion is needed regarding policies for turning in equipment and poll books. And a small charge for the central Wi-Fi system would still be passed on to the cities and townships. So the recommendation was to purchase elections equipment in 2018. Commissioners, one note I did get from the Auditor Treasurer's Department, they had requested a change in the language in the minutes on page 4 at the end of that first paragraph. The Command Central software at the Government Center enables staff to, and then they'd like to replace it with ensure someone does not vote twice, once in person and once by absentee voting, just to clarify that point.
Bob, can you come for a question there? The voting equipment that we're talking about buying, is it tied into the internet? Is it online, or is it separate? Because I've watched news reports. Once we get to where we're letting this stuff access to the internet, it is open for hacking. You know, whereas right now it's closed. I mean, the equipment, you know, we take a chip, bring it over here, has the results on it. Now we're going to be going on to the internet and sending the information. Explain, please.
Sure. Commissioner, I'll try to explain it as best I can. We don't use the internet. When we do deploy wireless capabilities, it's on a spectrum of the Wi-Fi that we normally don't have as consumers. This is all vetted out by the Secretary of State. So if we do deploy the tabulators themselves, the DS200s, we could put in a modem in there that they could modem the results to us. But in Minnesota, they're still followed up by the delivery of the ballots and there's peer reviews, there's post-audit elections, so they're hand counted as a sample, and if there's an error, then it expands. So that's one way of communicating. That's the tabulated results, the very quick result followed up by the actual documents. The second one is the deployment of these poll pads. Now these poll pads just communicate, the clarification was that we don't know how a person voted, but we know if they voted absentee or if they voted in the polling place. So on election day, we still have absentee ballots being delivered to us. We have the ability to go on and see if they've actually signed the roster, and then we'll reject that absentee ballot because you've gone to the polling place to vote. Or we'd be telling the polling place that, hey, we've accepted the AB, immediately put AB on there so somebody comes in and says, oh, they accepted my ballot. There's nothing that impacts the outcome of the way somebody voted, but just whether or not they have voted in person.
The Russians won't be able to help you get elected next time, Charlie.
And it speeds up exponentially the voter registration process.
For example, our election day registrations, we have to manually key them into the Secretary of State's system.
It just seems to me that whenever we start doing things with the web and whatever, it's just a matter of time before, oh, here's a problem.
This isn't, like you said, this is not web-based, so.
All right.
Well, Mr. Chair, everybody knows that Wright County is the Manhattan of the Midwest. So everybody's just jonesing to hack us out here. I mean, those township elections are contentious at best.
And Mr. Chair, I would also like to add on to what Bob indicated here. While the poll pads may be connected to the internet, everything in Minnesota is paper-based. I mean, you're not going to be signing your name on a poll pad. What you do is you check in on a poll pad, it prints out a receipt, you sign the receipt, they save the paper receipt. And it's just
So it's always verifiable.
Yep. Instead of having to find the bees and having 50 people waiting in line for the bees, Charlie, while the peas have no one there for Potter, everyone can go to the same person, they can look you up, and it's right there in the book. They hit your name, you hit print, you sign the slip, you go get your ballot. So.
But I want to quick add to that. That filling out that paper is expedited. So instead of having a manual piece of paper to fill out your name, your address, and all that, the whole system is expedited. Plus, my election judges who are responsible for doing that are following the standard procedure. They're prompted for what they need to do versus trying to remember what it is. But yes, in the end,
everybody's the same.
Everybody will be the same, yeah.
Mr. Chair.
So that'll make it easier for training purposes.
Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As far as the electric equipment go, with the discussion we had with whether the county buys them or the townships, I see the value in having the county have control, so it's all the same system out there. It's easier on the training and doing the maintenance agreements. It's going to be a lot easier on the townships and the smaller cities that these are budget busters for them when they come up. And if the Binford 100 gets replaced by the Binford 2000 or whatever, they don't have to just take equipment that's maybe 2 election cycles old and get rid of that and get something new. I think this is going to be an advantage for everybody in the county and the auditor treasurer's office when it comes time to tally up the votes and see who's going to assume the position of office at all levels.
Well, this is a good start for us to be the not passing the buck process, because it seems in government so often everybody keeps passing the expenses down, and I think this is a right move on our place to, not pass that to the townships and the cities and take that expense on us.
Well, it's still...
It's same money, really.
Yeah, the advantage here is that we're going to be able to get some of it paid for by a grant.
Well, exactly.
Right.
Where the cities would have a little more tougher time to do that.
But it is nice to...
I like where this is going, but I want full disclosure. The grant would be allocated to the municipalities as well, but the question is that we have the ability to choose the equipment, the standard equipment that's going to be used out throughout the county.
Yep.
And making that training process and the backside of paperwork on your side much more efficient, hopefully.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, I'm just not sure Cokato is going to want this equipment, township.
True. Commissioner Burrell, I was notified that they have budgeted for the DS200.
They did.
So they are going forward with it.
Wow.
Whether they want the modem or not.
I'm disappointed in those guys. Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Bob.
Well, now, just so that we know, too, that there are precincts precincts throughout the county where it only has 1 or 2 people, and we're not going to do that for all precincts.
You would look at
We are making sure that it's
cost effective.
cost effective.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, the goal, board, is to deploy this in each of our precincts. We don't have a precinct with 1 or 2, I'm sorry, we do have a precinct with 1 person. We will not deploy it there.
Right. Yep.
And let the record reflect I've never won that precinct.
And we have 4 mail precincts, mail balloting precincts now. We wouldn't deploy it there.
Okay. So somebody want to make a motion to approve the minutes and recommendations?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendations. The recommendations is,
Well, it's for both.
There are 2 things.
yeah, to refer ERP discussion to the next technology committee, to approve designating authority of the auditor treasurer to pay bills as they are submitted and report those payments to the county board, the next county board meeting, and authorize the auditor treasurer to convert all employee reimbursements to direct deposits, which I know a lot of the employees have been asking for that for quite a while. And then also authorize purchase of the election equipment in 2018.
At the auditor's discretion, right? Okay.
Board, the clarification on that is I intend to move forward with the poll pads. They do have the greatest amount of reimbursement, even as small as the grant is. Maximize that and probably hold off on the tabulators, the DS200s, until 20.
Okay.
And see if there's a new one out at that point.
Yeah.
Well, the DS200 just came out, but the Binsford might be in the...
Okay, motion by
second that.
Commissioner Delyden, second by Commissioner Houston. Further discussion here?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I do have one question. Did you guys find any, our vendors that offer 1 to 10?
Bob, you gotta come back up here. Can't hear him otherwise.
No, I heard Lindsay, she shook her head no.
Oh, well, yeah, but
Any other vendors that had what?
1%, you know, if you pay in 10 days, you know. I know you, I'm sure you get those same
Yep.
opportunities. I know we do,
Yep.
you know, in our business.
Oh, yeah.
So they must just
I just
know the counties are slow payers, so they don't even bother.
Right, but we don't know if we change our process, you know, could we explore that? I do know that there's a potentiality in highway, potentially of having a discount, but we have not asked anybody. You know, we wanted to gauge where we're going with this before we did that, so.
No, it just normally it's always on the terms of the invoice, you know, net 30, 110,
Right.
1% and paid in 10 days, so.
Okay.
Just curious.
All right, further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The minutes and the recommendations are approved. The next up, we have Personnel Committee. Commissioner Houston, would you be able to do that for us?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Personnel Employee Relations Committee met on August 9th, 2017. Members present, Delyden, Hewsome, Lee Kelly, others present, Pollock and Peterson from HR. And the discussion was policy 301.04, the PTO credit for applicable experience within the field. So this relates to people who are hired that have experience in the field. So they've probably been, you know, hired at a higher rate than the minimum. And Kelly said the section 30104 of the personnel policy regarding paid time off credit for applicable experience within the county states, the additional credit for applicable experience within the field will be applied to the employee's PTO accrual after successful completion of the probationary period. So you have a copy of that next. And he distributed from the personnel policy manual. And the discussion was regarding how this PTO should be applied. As it currently states, it would be awarded retroactively to the employee's hire date upon completion of the probationary period. Kelly said it's been challenging to calculate human resources staff, and he feels it would be administratively easier to either award the additional PTO credits effective at hire date or upon the completion of their probationary period. They prefer that the PTO credits not be applied retroactively to the hire date. Delighten asked how many PTO days could potentially be added, and Kelly said the maximum of 4. Peterson said new employees start with 20 days of PTO. At 4 years, they accrue 24 per year.
Why don't you guys fix
At
that?
2 to 3 years, they accrue 21 PTO days, and if the employee received 2 to 3 years of credit, they would get an extra day. Pollock said it's difficult to backtrack to add the additional PTO after their probationary period. She said it's best to give the employees the PTO from the start. Peterson added that this policy could help with recruitment also, and this applies to non-union exempt employees only. So the recommendation is to amend the section 301.04 of the personnel policy, sentence 3 to read, this additional credit for applicable experience within the field will be applied to the employee's PTO accrual effective date of hire. And 2, PTO for employees hired under the previous policy would be recalculated as of their hire dates according to the amended policy. Mr. Chair, with that, I will move the minutes and the recommendation.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Hewson,
I'll second it.
second by Commissioner Delighten. Further discussion, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next up, we have Building Committee, and Commissioner Potter, you're kind enough to do them for me?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Building Committee met August 9th. Members President Potter, Burrell, Wilczek, others President Matthijs, Dahl, and former Commissioner Dick Mattson. A lot of history on the Marysville Township Hall there. The discussion was the Marysville Township Hall that the county acquired in as part of a right-of-way plat 92. It's been in our possession for a while now, and it was painted in 2009 by sentence to serve, and pretty much nothing since that time. It is basically surrounded by the Humphrey Aarons Park, but we own it, but it's kind of like it falls in that black hole of who takes care of it. The conditions need to be improved out there if we're going to save this. This is on the preservationist historical side of it. I mean, they're trying for historical designation, but this is one of the last, if not the last, of the old township halls that was used specifically for township hall purposes all the way through its life. And when it closed, it didn't get converted to a house or a garage or a chicken coop. It's still there. I think it's worthwhile for us to keep this, but it's going to need some repairs and some decisions by this board what to do and what level of repair is needed in there. What we're looking at is to have this more of part of the park there, have the parks maintain it, hopefully, if that's the way it goes. But go out there and take a look at it and see what the board wants to do. Commissioner Burrell and myself, we would like to have a committee of the whole go out there and see what game plan they'd like to see. I mean, the building is sitting on rocks for a foundation, which isn't quite right. There's an attractive nuisance factor here underneath the building. It needs to be painted again. There's some other repairs going on, but like I said, this is one of those things that if everybody quick to tear down everything, once in a while we need to stop and maybe save something. My hope is that with this here is if we stay, the Historical Society is not interested in it because they have a replica up at their building already. The hope is that we get some kind of plaque up there commemorating what this building is, what it stood for, why it's there, and why it's still there. So people, when I drive by historical sites, I see the plaque, I stop in and read them, just because they're interesting little side notes of what's going on there. But with this, Mr. Chair, what we're looking for is to have the schedule committee of the whole for the whole board to go out there and take a look at it, probably with Alan Wilczek and probably Mark Matthijs along also, just to see where we want to go with this.
And even though, Historical Society has an expressed interest, maybe invite them along too.
The more the merrier on this, and I think this is important enough to go, because I'm really hard pressed to find another township hall of this vintage that's still there and has been used for that express purpose its whole life. I know Rockford Township Hall has moved on 55. It's got an antique store. A lot of them have been converted to either houses, garages, chicken coops, and what have you. And this is an opportunity for us to look at that. So
The one at the Historical Society.
We need to find that out. That's why I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, what year, because they have one up there. Is it a replica?
I believe it's a replica of a typical township-type hall.
Okay.
Here's the real thing.
You know, this is the real thing, but to move this is not.
No, well, yeah.
But it's, you know, when we acquired it, we kind of, it's been sitting there, and like say, 2009 is when it was painted by Sentence to Serve, and it's showing its age, and it needs a little bit of attention.
Yeah.
And the recommendation is to set a committee of the whole, take a site and see which direction we want to go with it, and also inform Dick Mattson of the time so he can attend also, because he's been kind of the curator, ad hoc, history keeper of this thing, which is, he's got pictures date stamped and everything else, which is kind of nice to have.
Yeah, these are outside pictures. What does the inside look like?
He's got the one inside.
We don't know yet. Yeah.
Well,
there was some.
Mr. Chair, they did spend $25. They raised $25 for putting up a partition to divide the town hall into 2 rooms in 1895.
Yeah, I seen that part.
Okay, so Mike, you're going to make a motion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, with that, I'll make a motion to approve the building committee minutes and the recommendation.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion by Potter, second by Commissioner Delainen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. And then next up is to schedule that committee of the whole meeting. Lee, do you have any?
Board, I don't really have any recommended dates, just being cautious of, we have a pretty busy schedule coming up with budget meetings.
Yeah, next week, a few people won't be around. Why don't we kind of plan more for after budget season?
Well, that's getting pretty late though, if we were gonna do something yet this year, even for maintenance, you know.
Yeah, well, what's 1 year?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
Well, looking into September, we don't have budget meetings on the 1st or the 6th. I don't know if there's reasons why.
Labor Day is?
No, Labor Day is the 4th.
Okay.
But that's Labor Day weekend, perhaps that's a.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe there was a commissioner conflict on the 6th, if I recall.
On the 6th?
Yeah, I'm in St. Paul.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be back, I don't know, Chris, are you gonna be back next week, later in the week, like Thursday?
No.
No, you won't, okay. You're gone all week? Okay.
Can't we do it on the morning on the 28th? We have HHS in the afternoon, but can't we do Monday, August 28th?
I have a conflict. I'm meeting with Buffalo Township at 10 in the morning.
Okay.
Same here, I get that fabulous root canal stuff going on.
Ooh.
The 29th after the board meeting, how's that?
I'm in St. Paul Nuclear.
On the 29th?
Right, nuclear. We have nuclear exercise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again?
Yes.
This is the exercise.
You guys sure practice a lot. We don't ever need you.
How about, the 30th before, you know?
Well, that's part of the discussion too, Mr. Chair, if we were going to have committee that day.
Committee that day, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's, we're in
Do
September.
Friday, the 1st, or is somebody gone?
No, it's
When?
Labor Day weekend.
No.
That Friday, 2 people, all right. Well,
You don't want to be driving in the roads.
that's true. We are, we're looking pretty far out here.
Mr. Chair, is anyone, is anyone not available on the 1st?
Well, yeah, I'd rather not do that
Yeah.
too, I suppose. We may go camping that weekend.
And the 5th of September, we have what?
Boards and budget.
Yeah, but how about,
Oh, we got the budget on the 5th?
The 7th in the morning?
6th and
how about the 6th of the afternoon?
I mean, I'm in St. Paul that day, but.
Again?
Yeah.
Well,
Could you try to be out in Marysville Township instead?
Is the 6th the MCIT?
Yeah,
training?
it's that, yeah.
Okay. Gosh, we are really
14th?
getting out there.
We'll be back in
14th?
the
That's
7th.
fall policy
I'll be
at
back in
Breezy
7th,
Point.
yeah.
oh, that's right.
You know what? We are so far out, might as well just wait until, we'll figure this out at our next board meeting. Lee, you can have it all worked out, and at our next board meeting, we'll approve a date.
Well, I would just figure the 19th, afternoon of the 19th. We don't have anything scheduled yet, do we? We're done with all the budgets.
You could do Tuesday the 19th and just do,
After board
Yeah,
meeting?
After board meeting.
11
And that
o'clock?
way,
11 o'clock?
get it out there.
Yeah, I agree, Mr. Chair. I think I'd like to get on the calendar.
Well, our schedules keep adding more things to it. If you
Right.
push it out, you
Exactly.
So say 11 o'clock or 10:30?
Well, no.
11.
11.
11:30, yeah.
Let's say 11, we're not going to be that late. So 11 o'clock on the 19th, and we will meet for anybody that, Lee, we could probably have the van from here, anybody that wants to ride out.
It's
and
not
then-
far. Yeah.
Or you all want to just drive?
Where's Marysville?
Just north of Waverly, between Buffalo and Waverly.
Oh.
Yep.
But I will just,
County Road 9.
I'll probably just drive there on the way home.
Yeah.
But we'll have a van available anyway, whatever, so. Okay, 11 o'clock at Marysville.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to schedule a committee of the whole meeting to meet at Marysville Township Hall on September 19th at 11 o'clock.
I second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Hewsome. Further discussion? Derek, you're okay on that day?
I'm good on that day.
All right, sounds good. Uh-oh. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carries. And then, Lee, will let Commissioner Mattson, former Commissioner Mattson know about it. And then also, I would like to see if Sally from the Historical Society could come, as well as people from the Parks Department as well, so. And we'll go from there. Okay, sounds good. Next up, reschedule the 8:23 committee meetings. That's for committee meetings, excuse me, from
Correct.
8:23.
Mr. Chair, this was an item laid over from last week to look further at schedules. I know we had discussed the potential of moving it to the 30th, the following week in the morning. I had kind of left the budget schedules open for that morning if that was to be the case, so that could work.
Will it be necessary? Could we skip?
No.
Can't do it?
Well, there's things that the IT committee definitely needs to discuss. I don't know if there's anything else that comes up, but.
Do we have a,
But we have
Review,
budget,
a
we
department
have budget
head
in the
review?
afternoon.
we have a department head review that day also, so it'd be better not to put
Okay.
that off.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to move the committee meetings from the 23rd to the 30th of August.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Delighten to move committee day from August 23rd to August 30th. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Got written down so I don't forget it myself. Okay, and then next up is authorized attendance for the AMC Fall Policy Conference, September 14th to the 15th. And,
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to authorize attendance of the AMC Fall Policy Conference, September 14th to 15th.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Delighten. Further discussion?
Mr. Chair, just a note after the vote, please let staff know if you're registering yourself or you'd like us to do it for you, so.
Okay.
Registering just hotel or the whole conference?
The conference, usually we rely on you guys to do the hotel, but
Say that one more time.
typically we'll register the conference for you, but let you handle your lodging.
Okay.
Okay. And did we vote on that? No, we did not.
Get a motion in a
Okay.
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Lee, we had a revised budget thing on the agenda here now?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I handed out a copy stating revised 815. Minimal changes, just moved veteran service to the afternoon of September 5th at 3 p.m. as highlighted, and also moved economic development ahead a day as they had a conflict, so they will be at 10:30.
Okay.
And if I hear any additional conflicts, I'd reached out to all the groups, but hadn't heard anything other than these two at this point, so we should be pretty set.
Okay. We don't need a vote on this or anything, but what's that? Do you think we should?
I would recommend, just because
Oh,
we are
okay.
setting committee
Okay.
minutes, or
All right,
meetings, I
so,
should say.
I'll make a motion to approve the revised budget schedule.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delight and second by Commissioner Hewsome. I did want to point out thank you very much for writing revised on it every time. Otherwise, we end up with 5 of these things floating around and which one is the current one, so thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Advisory Committee, Advisory Boards updates, Board updates. Mike, you want to start again?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. All I had last week is the I-94 Coalition. Spoke about where the funding mechanisms are, if the Corridors of Commerce program is either going to go in small increments or large increments, and the getting prepared for the I-94 Coalition to go out to DC on the 13th and 14th, which is the same as our fall policy conference. So it's kind of it'll be interesting to see how that goes out there. There's another acronym out there within the Federal Highway Freight Corridor Program that they're looking to explore to see if they can get any funding through that. They've done just about everything there. It's the most shovel-ready project we have in the state, and it's just a matter of if the state actually goes forward and approves that. And still got a lobby on the federal for the rest of it. One good note on 94, it appears that from Monticello to Clearwater is going to have, the construction limits are going to be enlarged to make it, basically the base is going to be put in, getting it ready for the third lane. It won't have the third lane right away, but the base will be ready, which is kind of a significant move for MnDOT to do that, but I think it's also helping in their construction when they rebuild that. So it's kind of a dual purpose for them. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I would just invite anyone to the coffee and conversation at the Buffalo Area Dementia Friends. Invites everyone to join staff members from Central Minnesota Council on Aging for refreshments and conversation to get answers to questions they may have and resources to help them in planning if they have someone in their family that has been diagnosed with dementia. So that is August 23rd from 9:30 to 11 at Zion Lutheran Church.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, and I'll pass for now. Mark, what did you have?
I'm on the radio tomorrow, so listen in, and I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet. Any suggestions from anybody? Well, I mean, there's nothing going on at the county.
No, nothing. We have nothing going on.
How about it's been 2 months since Bob's kitty had a hangnail?
Oh.
It'd work. It'll be interesting.
No, I've,
Good.
we don't have the public health person in charge yet, so those meetings haven't been happening. I know the information is out regarding County Road 38 in Otsego, new County Road 38, to go from Odine to 101. There was one public hearing, or one public open house. I believe there'll be another one, but they've started doing some of the design work and purchasing properties. And there are some concerns from some of the residents over there that are trying to be addressed as much as possible, but unfortunately, I don't think everybody will end up being 100% happy. But it's kind of tough when you have a road that should have been updated a long time ago. You know, again, a road with no sides on them at all. You know, deep ditches, just, you know, just hasn't been any money available. So I don't have anything else.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I want to, as a side note to that.
Go ahead.
Thanks to Otsego for spearheading that, because they took the lead, used a lot of their municipal state aid money to help push this project forward to help us, and it turned it into a county road. And they definitely were the lead, and without their help, we wouldn't even be this far today. And I just want to make sure that the note's out there that they stepped up big time on this one.
Oh, one thing also regarding Otsego, the county just widened up modified 39 a little bit for a turnway onto Nashwauk, which goes into the City Hall and their parks area there. And if you've ever been up on that area, in the evenings, that park is full with soccer players and families. So I'm glad that we did it that one. We did it at 2 other ones earlier, 2 years ago or last year, which have improved safety by putting in a dedicated turn lane on those. There were so many rear-end collisions down in that end, so it's a very, very heavily traveled road. So, that's it.
Okay, Derek.
On last Thursday, August 10th, per Tim Zapoy's invitation to the CMGT at the Workforce Center in Monticello, I attended the Human Resources Managers Gathering, and I strongly encourage anyone that's either in business or in human resources to attend that. It was well attended. There was about 14, 16 of us there. A lot of really, really good discussions, a lot of swapping of ideas and what's working to recruit people and retain employees. So definitely wanted on September 14th, it meets again at the Monticello Workforce Center at 8 a.m. Encourage everyone, but that's all I have.
Okay, and then I did want to mention Soil Water Board meeting last night. The couple items that came up that would be of interest to the public. The DNR felt that the decontamination project, proposed for Lake Sylvia and the other 2 lakes there, was not given adequate public hearing. So they're going to have a public hearing.
No, it wasn't
Meeting.
an open house.
It's a public meeting, not a hearing.
Informational.
Yeah.
I believe that it's a public hearing.
But we're not voting on anything. There's no voting.
It's not for us.
Oh, no, but they're not voting on anything, are they? Then it would be
Right.
informational.
Well, I thought the letter said public meeting
Well,
from the DNR.
A public hearing is a different.
The DNR expressed that they felt that it needed to have public hearing. and
Public
that's-
input or more additional public.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was meeting, but
Anyway.
But yeah, you're right.
Okay, but it's going to be August 23rd. The soil water is supposed to be putting out notification in the papers, whatever, so I don't know how they'll get it out that quick, but anyway, August 23rd is next Wednesday already, so.
And where were they going to have that?
It's going to be at the Annandale Municipal Park at 7 o'clock, in the evening.
You can show up.
Okay, and then also, on the 28th, the DNR is actually having kind of a tour showing some of the work that they've done out on the Pelican Lake with the drainage project and things like that. It would be right at the Pelican Lake. I'm not sure if it will be at the landing or where, but somewhere on Pelican Lake on the 28th at...
That's probably out where they put in the pumping system.
Okay.
Perhaps.
And that's at 11 o'clock in the morning. What's
or
that?
on the St. Michael's
Yeah.
side.
Okay.
That would be my guess. I don't know why.
I didn't have the actual location, but it's 11 o'clock on the
They
28th.
didn't want to tell you?
Maybe not. Okay, that's all I had for now. Yes.
I think we should also, just as a stand here for a point of personal privilege, I think it'd be important to note that this past week that we lost our longtime serving board chair on the Board of Adjustment,
gosh.
Mr. Bob Sherman.
Yeah, thank you.
Many years, and I just want to stand up here and just say that he was an absolutely wonderful public servant, and I'm very happy to be able to have met him during my
Yeah.
time working here. The Board of Adjustment lost a very strong voice. He was a very strong environmentalist, I think, for Wright County, and held the line and ran a tough meeting.
Yeah.
So we're going to miss him.
Thank you for mentioning that.
At Bob's funeral on Monday, his daughter gave a eulogy, and I actually want to get a copy of it, but she had about 15 lessons that Bob taught her through her life. And I just remember, and this is the way Bob ran the meeting. He lived by these principles, and he taught his kids, and he taught everybody the same thing, but I know one of them that just stuck out was, he said, stand up for the little guy. And Bob, Bob stood up for the little guy a lot of times, and he will be missed. He'll be missed from our district. I'm looking to replace him, and it's going to be tough to find another Bob, I'll tell you that.
You can't replace Bob. So, no, we're going to miss him.
Sounds
Man
good.
of
Thank you, Greg.
strong convictions. Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything else to come before the board?
Sure.
With that, we are adjourned at 10:29.
We have a 10:30 meeting.